Hi everyone, welcome to the presentation of Paper ID 2409 at the 18th Annual International Conference of Education, Research and Innovation.
Welcome back. Today we're doing a deep dive into something, well, frankly, a bit alarming: the diet microbiome cancer nexus. We're seeing this really unsettling trend, a big jump in colorectal cancer for people under 50. That wasn't the case before, right?
Exactly. It really challenges our old assumptions. So our mission today is to unpack this complex relationship between what we eat, the trillions of microbes in our gut, and these inflammatory pathways that can, either push toward cancer or help protect against it.
It's like this hidden biological triangle of risk and protection.
That's a good way to put it. It really forms the foundation.
Okay, so our goal here is to give you a clear path through this complex topic. Let's start with that trend, younger people getting colorectal cancer. What's the connection to diet?
Well, the research is pretty clear on this. The evidence strongly links the typical Western diet. Lots of ultra-processed foods, red meat, processed meats, not much fiber, with what we call gut microbial dysbiosis.
Dysbiosis, meaning the gut environment is out of whack.
Precisely. The balance is off. You get an overgrowth of potentially harmful bacteria and a decrease in the beneficial ones. And this imbalance is a major driver of the chronic inflammation in the gut that can kickstart cancer development.
Okay, so let's get specific. What in that Western diet is doing the damage? You mentioned red meat.
Right. For instance, the heme iron in red meat, it seems to have a cytotoxic effect. Basically, it can damage the cells lining your colon directly. It can also disrupt the gut barrier, making it sort of leaky.
And processed meats are even worse, aren't they?
They are. The International Agency for Research on Cancer, the IARC, actually classifies processed meat as carcinogenic to humans, group 1. And red meat is probably carcinogenic.
Wow, carcinogenic.
Yes. And these diets, low fiber, high processed stuff, they lead to something called proteolytic fermentation. Instead of good bugs fermenting fiber, you get other bacteria breaking down proteins, and that produces nasty byproducts, things like ammonia, hydrogen sulfide, and nitroso compound.
And those damage the gut lining too.
They do. They impair the gut barrier integrity and create a more pro-cancer environment. It's like we've accidentally created the perfect storm in our own intestines through diet.
That paints a pretty stark picture. But is there hope? What can we actually do about it?
Absolutely. There's a very hopeful side. And it really comes down to dietary fiber. Fiber is, pivotal in cancer prevention for several reasons.
Okay, how does it work?
So there are physical effects. Insoluble fiber adds bulk, speeds things up, dilutes potential carcinogens, but there are also anti-inflammatory effects and, crucially, prebiotic effects. It feeds the good bacteria.
So it actively counters that dysbiosis we talked about.
Exactly. And this is where soluble fiber in particular really shines. When beneficial bacteria ferment soluble fiber, they produce short-chain fatty acids, or SCFAs. You've probably heard of butyrate propionate acetate.
Those are good guys.
Very much so. They're absolutely central for modulating the immune system in your gut and maintaining what we call intestinal homeostasis, keeping everything balanced and healthy.
You mentioned butyrate. Is that one especially important?
It really is. Butyrate has been studied extensively. It shows remarkable tumor suppressive properties. Get this. It can actually trigger apoptosis that's programmed cell death in cancer cells.
So it tells cancer cells to self-destruct.
In a way, yes. Plus, it helps regulate immune responses and strengthens that gut barrier we talked about. It's a really powerful molecule for prevention.
Okay, so wrapping this up, what's the key message for everyone listening?
The bottom line is that your diet is arguably the most powerful lever you have to shape your gut microbiome, its composition, its diversity, how it functions. And that, in turn, is critical for your overall health and specifically for cancer prevention.
It's not just about calories or general healthy eating. It's about actively cultivating that inner ecosystem.
Precisely. It's about understanding how food choices directly influence microbial activity and inflammation. So the push now is really towards awareness and consciously choosing foods with more anti-inflammatory potential, feeding those beneficial microbes.
So knowing this deep connection, your plate, your gut microbes, your long-term health, what steps might you, our listener, think about exploring to better support this vital inner world?
Okay, let's talk about colorectal cancer. It's supposed to be highly preventable. Yeah. So here's the thing that's puzzling a lot of people. Why are the rates actually climbing, especially over the last 30 years, and particularly in younger folks under 50? It's a really baffling trend. So today, we're going to dive into this. Our mission is really to unpack the whole prevention strategy, looking at diet, gut health, and also these newer screening technologies.
Exactly. And what's really key here, I think, is that this isn't just general eat your veggies advice. It's this fascinating connection, this interplay between our everyday choices, our lifestyle, and some pretty advanced biomedical science. It offers, well, a genuinely synergistic way to tackle what's becoming a major global health issue.
So where does this trend really kick off? A lot of the thinking points straight to our gut, right? Oh. And what's happening inside? We're seeing these links between typical Western diets, low fiber, lots of ultra-processed stuff, red meat, processed meat, and chronic inflammation in the gut, plus an imbalance in our microbes. I mean, it sounds like a recipe for trouble.
Oh, it absolutely is. Your gut microbiota, the community of microbes living in there, it plays such a critical role, not just for gut health, but immunity too. And what you eat, it directly shapes that community. So think about diets rich in fiber, polyphenols, prebiotics. These things feed the good microbes, and these microbes produce compounds like butyrate, a short-chain fatty acid. And the surprising thing, butyrate actually helps inhibit cancer development. But then on the flip side, high intakes of red and processed meats, they seem to encourage pro-inflammatory bacteria. These can damage the gut lining, potentially triggering oncogenesis, cancer development. And those ultra-processed foods we mentioned, well, they can mess with your gut barrier integrity and reduce microbial diversity. It creates this environment ripe for inflammation. So yeah, that weekend junk food bin, it's not just about the calories. It's like, throwing a spanner in the works of your gut ecosystem.
Wow. That paints a really clear picture. So, okay, the gut connection starts to unravel part of this puzzle, this paradox. But if diet is so critical, why are we still seeing rates go up? Maybe diet isn't the whole story. Perhaps the answer also involves our next line of defense, screening. The really good news here, I suppose, is that most colorectal tumors don't just pop up overnight. They usually grow slowly from polyps over several years. That gives us this really valuable window to intervene if we just look. Traditional tools like colonoscopy, they work, they're effective. But let's be honest, uptake isn't always great, especially for people under 50 without symptoms.
Right. And what's really game-changing here, I think, is how these newer non-invasive screening options are shifting things. We now have stool DNA tests. Cologuard is a well-known one. These basically look for abnormal DNA shed from polyps or tumors, and also tiny traces of blood in the stool. And maybe even more exciting are the blood-based tests, looking at something called ctDNA, circulating tumor DNA. These tests are getting incredibly good at picking up specific genetic signals like methylation patterns, think of them as on-off switches for genes, or actual mutations that flag up early cancer.
So these newer tests make screening less invasive. That sounds like a huge win for getting more people screened, making it more accessible. Which brings us to, I think, the core idea from our deep dive today. It's not just diet or just screening. It's both together. Changing your diet is fundamental, absolutely. But it's maybe not a silver bullet on its own. Even someone with a super healthy diet might have a genetic risk or develop polyps that, well, you just wouldn't know about without a proper screen. Screening acts as that crucial safety net, doesn't it?
Precisely. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, looking ahead, ongoing microbiome research might soon lead to more personalized risk assessments. Imagine using microbial biomarkers, maybe combined with these ctDNA tests, to tailor screening schedules, a kind of precision medicine approach to prevention. This could create this powerful feedback loop, identifying people at higher risk earlier, maybe even motivating dietary shifts based on their specific gut profile.
That sounds really promising for the future.
Yeah.
But let's get practical for a moment. What are the hurdles right now in getting these tools, this knowledge, to everyone? We know things like cost, access to healthcare, socioeconomic gaps, even just public awareness. They're big challenges. Which is why it was such a big deal when the U.S. Preventive Services Task Force updated guidelines recommending screening start at age 45 for average risk folks.
Yeah, that was significant. And it raises that really important question. How do we make sure access is equitable? How do we get people engaged? Well, practical strategies could include things like culturally specific education campaigns, maybe subsidized testing programs. Making screening part of routine checkups could help. Leveraging those at-home test kits is huge too. And I think the messaging is key, really linking screening to things people can control, like diet. Campaigns that say, look, certain diets raise your risk, which makes getting screened even more important, maybe even earlier. That could foster a stronger prevention mindset.
Okay, so wrapping up our deep dive today. It seems clear that reversing this rise in colorectal cancer, especially in younger people, needs this kind of multi-pronged attack. Diet's a cornerstone, for sure, but it has to go hand in hand with using these innovative screening tools. It's an integrated defense, much stronger together.
Absolutely. And maybe a final thought for you, our listener. Think about how understanding this dynamic interplay between your food choices, your unique gut microbiome, and these accessible screening technologies really empowers you. It gives you a truly comprehensive toolkit to protect your health, maybe in ways you hadn't fully considered before.
You are invited to read our Paper ID 2409 for more details, including the main cognitive strategies we use to support adolescents' engagement and critical reflection.